I still remember the way she said it. Calm, casual, like she was telling me she'd changed her mind about dinner. "I'm going back to my ex," Claire said, setting her coffee mug down on the kitchen counter. "I just can't do this anymore. 15 years of marriage, 2 kids in college, a house we built together, and it all came down to a single sentence that sounded rehearsed." I stared at her, waiting for the joke. The silence stretched until I realized it wasn't one. "Okay," I said, "that was it. No yelling, no begging, no accusations. Just one word." And that single word, I think, terrified her more than anything I could have said. She blinked, maybe waiting for a reaction. When none came, she walked off, muttering something about not wanting to fight. I didn't move. I just watched her back fade down the hallway of the house that suddenly didn't feel like mine anymore. Claire and I met in college. She was bold, funny, and always knew what she wanted. I was steady, the guy who showed up, fixed things, and never quit. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe I was too predictable. Her ex Brandon had been the opposite, loud, impulsive, and reckless. The kind of guy who burned bright and fast. When she chose me over him back then, she said she wanted peace. Turns out peace eventually bored her. That night she slept in the guest room. I didn't sleep at all. I sat by the window watching the streetlights blur through my tears and realized how quiet 15 years of noise could suddenly become. In the morning, she was gone. No goodbye, no note, just a message on my phone. "My lawyer will contact you. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." Harder than what? Than breathing? Than pretending I didn't just lose the person who promised to stay through everything? Around noon, my doorbell rang. A man in a gray suit stood outside holding an envelope. "Mr. Parker, you've been served." The envelope was thicker than I expected. Inside, divorce papers, financial disclosures, and a note from her attorney demanding a swift and amicable separation. Swift, amicable. Words that belong to business deals, not broken homes. I read every page slowly, letting the absurdity sink in. She wanted half of everything. House, savings, even the cabin I inherited from my father. I almost laughed. The woman who left me for her ex wanted half of my life too, but I didn't call her. I didn't call my lawyer either. Instead, I went to the garage, opened an old box, and found a photo album. Our wedding day. She looked radiant. I looked certain. I closed it and put it back. The certainty was gone. That evening, her lawyer called. I answered. "Mr. Parker," he began, voice clipped and confident. "We'll need your response by the end of the week. Mrs. Parker is looking to move forward quickly." I let him finish his rehearsed legal monologue before saying quietly, "Tell Claire she already did." He paused. "I'm sorry?" "She already moved forward. The papers are just catching up." There was silence on the line, then a sigh. "I'll relay the message. That night I made dinner for one. Chicken, rice, and vegetables. The kind of simple meal Claire always complained about. I ate slowly, staring at the empty chair across from me. It's funny the things you notice when someone leaves. How much space they took up without you realizing. How loud their absence can be. By the next morning, I'd made a decision. Not about the marriage, that was already dead, but about myself. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to fight in court or trade insults through lawyers. If she wanted to leave, she could. But she wouldn't get to take the piece she abandoned. That I was keeping. The following day, I went to my bank and closed our joint account. I moved half the money into her name and half into mine. Fair, clean, final. Then I called my lawyer and told him one thing. Draft a response that says I agree to everything. I don't want a dime from her. I just want it done. He hesitated. "Are you sure, Ethan?" I'm sure," he sighed. "You're taking the high road." "No," I said. "I'm just done walking in circles." That afternoon, Claire's lawyer called again. This time, his tone wasn't polite. "Mr. Parker," he snapped. "What exactly are you trying to pull? You can't just sign off like this without negotiation." I smiled to myself. "I think I can." "You're not understanding. Mrs. Parker feels—" I stopped trying to understand what she feels the day she stopped caring what I felt. And that's when he lost his temper. "Listen, Mr. Parker," he barked. "This isn't how these things work. You can't just walk away without discussion." The lawyer shouted through the phone. His voice cracked with frustration, and I could almost picture him pacing in some glass office, tugging at his tie. I waited until he stopped yelling. Then I said quietly, "I already did." And I hung up. For the first time in months, the silence that followed didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Claire. Her name lit up the screen. The same name that used to make my heart race, now just 4 letters I didn't recognize. I hesitated, then answered. "Ethan," she said quickly. "What are you doing?" "My lawyer says you refused to negotiate." "I didn't refuse," I interrupted. "I agreed to everything." "You can have what you asked for." She went quiet. The silence stretched. Then came a shaky laugh. "You're just giving up?" I took a slow breath. "No, I'm just letting go." She scoffed, but there was something brittle in her voice. "You're trying to make me feel guilty." "I don't want you to feel anything, Claire," I said. "You made your choice. I'm just accepting it faster than you expected." There was a pause. Then a sharp inhale. "You're acting like you don't care." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I cared for 15 years. "That's enough," she didn't reply. Just a faint exhale, and then the line went dead. That night I sat outside on the porch with a glass of whiskey. The same porch where we'd celebrated anniversaries, birthdays, even quiet Sunday mornings. The same porch where she once told me she couldn't imagine a life without me. Turns out imagination is a dangerous thing. Over the next week, I signed every document my lawyer sent. I didn't stall, didn't argue, didn't ask for explanations. My friends said I was crazy. You can't just let her walk with everything. But they didn't understand. It wasn't about money or houses or things. It was about peace. And peace isn't something you split 50-50. You either have it or you don't. By Friday, the papers were finalized. 15 years. Closed with electronic signatures and a PDF confirmation email. Just like that. I thought that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. A week later, her lawyer called again, this time sounding less angry and more confused. "Mr. Parker," he said carefully. "Mrs. Parker seems unsettled. She claims you've made this process intentionally difficult by being too agreeable." I actually laughed. "Too agreeable?" "Yes, she insists there must be some hidden agenda, that you're planning something." "I'm planning to live my life," I said. "Tell her she can do the same." He didn't know what to say. Finally, he murmured, "I've seen hundreds of divorces, but I've never seen one like this." "Neither have I," I said softly. "But I've also never lost someone twice." That night, I slept better than I had in months. 2 days later, Claire showed up at the house unannounced. She looked different, tired, nervous, unsure. "I just wanted to make sure you're okay," she said, eyes darting around the living room like it was unfamiliar territory. "I'm fine," I replied. "You didn't have to drive over for that." She hesitated. "Brandon, he's not who I thought he was." I nodded. "He never was," she frowned. "You're not even angry?" "I was," I said. "But anger's a room with no doors." I decided to leave. Her eyes glistened. "Do you hate me?" I looked at her, the woman I'd built a life with, the woman who'd once been my home. "No," I said. "I just don't know you anymore." She looked away, biting her lip. "You're different now." "I had to be," I replied. "You left me no choice but to find peace in places you never looked." There was nothing left to say after that. She nodded quietly and walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back one last time. "You really meant it when you said okay, didn't you?" I smiled faintly. "Yeah, I did." When the door closed, I felt something I hadn't in years, lightness. Not joy, not sadness, just freedom. Weeks passed. I sold the house, bought a small cabin near the lake my dad used to take me to as a kid. Every morning I made coffee, sat by the water, and watched the sunrise paint the world gold. Sometimes I'd think of Claire, not with anger but with understanding. Because sometimes love doesn't end with hatred or betrayal. Sometimes it ends with a quiet acceptance that the person who once completed your story now belongs to another chapter. And if she ever wonders how I moved on so easily, I hope she remembers the day she said, "I'm going back to my ex." And I replied, "Okay." That one word wasn't surrender. It was the start of my peace.